Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I wanted to make a quick video on how to start an AI in 2026. So this is a question that I get from non-technical friends and technical friends and my mom, dad, everyone's been asking me how to actually get involved in AI. And this is a space that I'm fascinated by. It's been talked about for a very long time, starting with IBM Watson way back in the day, but it never actually did anything. And then people talked about iPhone Siri and whatnot, but it wasn't actually useful. However, it's getting to the point where it's actually undeniable, right? Ever since the launch of ChatGPT, which was powerful in the beginning, it's gotten so much more powerful since then. The reality of the situation is that AI moves fast. I mean, if you take a look at the chat GPTs of the world, where it first started and what the models look like right now, it's getting to the point where it's impacting businesses, our daily lives, all types of businesses, small to, Fortune 500s are adopting AI. So you see it in the news. There's some negative sentiment that it's taking away a ton of jobs. I think really what's going to happen is a lot of new jobs are going to be opened up and it's going to be enabled with AI. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a plan to be able to catch up. So the purpose of this video is time travel you from zero, where this whole AI revolution started, and get you up to date with how to be able to interface with modern AI technology. At least in my lived experience, AI is moving faster than any technology shift in history. And if you haven't started yet, that's okay, but you need a clear modern path to get plugged in fast. So we'll go through that. And I want to make it as simple as possible. Let's start off with the very basics. I'm going to assume that you haven't really interfaced with any type of AI so far. So what I'd recommend to start off with is to learn to think with AI, and that starts off with the chatting. So I've got up at the top ChatGPT. That's the one that's made the news. It's all over social media. So many people know about ChatGPT, but what many people don't realize is that there's multiple versions of ChatGPT, these LLMs or reasoning models, right? So another popular one that people know is Claude, and then Google has come out with Gemini. So what I would recommend is just pick one, whichever one you want. They all have free tiers. You can get started today and just use it. Just start to chat with it. It can be simple messages up front, like, hey, how are you doing? But then you can take it into some more valuable use cases. So you can use it as a tutor. It can answer math questions. One thing that I've used it for is a language tutor. So if I want to learn Portuguese or brush up on my Spanish, I can go back and forth, learn vocabulary words, just be able to improve different languages that I want to study. You can use it as a brainstorming partner. So if you're thinking about how you should approach a task at work, or if you need to think about where you want to vacation later this year, depending on, the weather, etc. You can brainstorm with one of these models. If you have to write something for work or write an email, you can use it as a writing assistant. And then you could also use it as a travel planner. So you can decide which destination to go for this year, which hotels are the best. And in general, just be able to interface with one of these apps and use it as a chat buddy. It's really easy to get started with it. And this is the first layer that I would get experimenting with in case you haven't already done so. The next layer is to try multiple LLM models. So you see within ChatGPT, within Claude or Gemini, they actually have different models that are best for different tasks. So, for example, Claude Opus 4.5, that's all the talk on tech Twitter and a bunch of different platforms right now. That model is really good at reasoning, but it's specifically really good for coding. So you can build out apps without having to know or have much developer experience. It's really powerful. But then Claude Sonnet 4.5, that could be a more general model for writing or regular tasks. You'll want to pick one of the chat platforms, select the model, and then learn to understand which models are best for specific tasks. And you can actually ask one of these models itself, like, hey, in which scenario should I use this model? So after being able to have some regular chatting conversations with it, you'll want to experiment with the different models. Now, after you have experience with those different models, you can go to the next level, which is prompt engineering. While these chat models are good out of the box, you can get a lot of value from it right then and there. You can actually take it to the next level with prompt engineering, and this will help you learn how exactly these models are thinking. So one of the things that people often overlook is that you want to give it as much information as possible. And how you do that or start to do that is with these four things. So one of the first ways you can do that is give it a role. So you can say, hey, you're an expert in travel planning. You write itineraries for high profile clientele. And just with that, it will have enough context to approach a problem. And then you give it the actual context and you say, here's what I'm trying to do, Mr. Travel Agent. I want to book a trip to Rome. I want to stay in 4-star hotels and I want to visit these three things. After that, you can give it an output format. So you can say, I want it in an itinerary format. I want it broken down by the 7 days that I'm there. And then once you get that output, you can actually iterate upon it and you can say, hey, make this simpler, remove that, make this more detailed. So this is a really good way to be able to up level how you interface with the chat models by giving it a very well built out prompt. And the cool thing is that I think you'll get better responses just from doing that simple change. But then what I personally do is ask one of these chat models, hey, write me a really good prompt that includes these components. And that way I get even better responses. So the world of prompt engineering, this is just so important to get the most value out of each response from the LLM. Now, the next thing I do, because at this point, you've experimented with different models, different chats, and now you're doing some prompt engineering work. The next thing I do is automate one annoying thing in your life. So this could be something related to work, your post-work activities, maybe thinking of restaurants for your weekly hangout with friends. But it could be really simple, right? You could summarize emails. I know that if you use Gmail, there's some summarization capabilities. Just clicking that, it will show you how much value you can get from being able to move faster, being able to track expenses with AI. For example, if you have a CSV and you plug that into a chat model, it can tell you where you're spending the most money, how you can budget effectively for each month. You can organize content ideas if you want to make content in the future, or just getting data from one place to another, uh, taking your bank statements and then summarizing that into a Google Sheet. There are different annoying things that we all have. Just think about what's annoying to you and see how you can make your life easier with one of the models. Now, after you've automated one thing, the next thing I encourage you to do is build a system. I personally use N8N, but you could actually use a bunch of other automation tasks. There's things like Zapier, Make. I find N8N the most powerful. So in the last step, we talked about how we can automate one thing. This is how we can automate a whole bunch of things. So I've seen videos on YouTube where people have a personal assistant or they have an email manager and an autoresponder. There's so many things that you can do with an actual system. So you want to think about what are the broad scope of things that I do on a daily basis that tend to be manual, and how can I automate that in its entirety? So, for example, we talked about tutors before, but we can get to a point where we can build a workflow that will send us flashcards for a new word every day. So we stay consistent with learning and we don't have to get into chat every day. But yeah, you can also, continue to brainstorm on ideas, have that writing assistant, but you'll want to think really deeply about what tasks in general are all related to each other, and then how can I have an AI agent that I build with N8N do a lot of those repetitive tasks so I never have to think about it. And that way you have more time to spend on higher level tasks. So that's something that I would do, go from automating one simple thing to automating an entire system. And then after that, we're at the modern day level of what people are talking about in 2026. Claude Code has taken over the internet. Everyone's building apps. When Claude Code first started, it was still powerful. It could get you to very close to building out an app, but now it's gotten to the point where you can literally just chat with it, build out an entire website, build out an entire web app, and build out entire mobile app, get it on the app store. There's nothing stopping you from outputting code to the point that software engineers were doing just years ago. Am I saying build the next technology when you're just starting out with AI? No, but I want you to understand what is possible in 2026 because a lot of this was fiction just months back. So even if you're not an engineer or don't have a great web app idea, I encourage you to experiment with this because it can do so much more than build out vibe coded apps. It will show you the power of Cloud Code and how you can start to automate tasks. So it's almost like, to give you an example, I built out an entire workflow or system in N8N using Claude Code, all with natural language. So if you're going to experiment with Claude Code, there's a bunch of tutorials. I can also share a video on how to install Claude Code and get started working with it. But once you're ready for that, You can build out a simple dashboard, a simple personal finance tool. A lot of people build micro SaaSes, which achieve one simple task and sell it as an offering. You can make money that way. If you have a lot of manual tasks at work, you can build that internal tool so it makes your life easier at work. The possibilities are truly endless once you get to this level. And I would say that this is the current meta of what people are focusing on. This world is constantly updating, it's constantly evolving. I'll keep you posted in my videos as things progress. But as far as today, this is the path that I would take to catch me up where I am today. I've been in this world for quite a while. So if I could give you some advice on actions to take over the next month to catch you up as fast as possible, use AI every day. It could be as simple as just chatting with it, brainstorming like we talked about, or it could be building out an automation in N8N. But really, you just want to be consistent with the AI use because every single day that you use it, you learn how to best interact with it. The second thing that I recommend is to think in processes. Identify things that you do manually. It can be one thing or, you know, tens of things. And that way it will give your mind ideas on how you can prompt AI better and get some real use cases up and out into the world. And then finally, I would stay consistent, right? At the beginning, this is going to be challenging. There's a bunch of moving parts in the AI world, but I promise if you stay with it, you're going to get better at using AI and it will set you up very nicely for where the world is headed. So that's what I'd recommend to you. I appreciate you watching this video and I wish you the best of luck in your journey. I'm going to keep posting content like this if you want to stay up to date on AI agents, N8N, automation, etc. Please like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out, and I'll catch you in the next one.